Peace, family. Peace, 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 peace. All right. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal night. If not, do understand your night, day is going to get better once your perception gets better. And so, if you are new to my channel, my name is Dina Bryant. I do these inspirational videos just so we could shift our energy and receive the things that we actually desire, as opposed of getting things that we feel that may not be serving us. Okay. So I was just in my room, okay, not too long ago, and I was listening to Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor was part of The Secret. If you've been watching my videos for a minute, you know, majority of the time, I talk about Bob Proctor. Okay, Bob Proctor was my mentor. Okay, and I was in the room and I was listening to Paradigm Shift, right? And basically is about 11 videos that's on YouTube, and Bob Proctor talks about how you could shift your paradigm. Your paradigm is basically a multitude of habits, okay? You wake up the way you wake up each and every morning because of you've been programmed to do so. The way we dress, we've been programmed to do so. The type of foods we eat, we've been programmed to do so, right? And for me, I always had an interest of getting different, right? Even when I go to the supermarkets, okay, I like trying different foods out and stuff like that, because I feel when we do the same thing each and every day, life becomes dull, life becomes boring. It's like it's no excitement, right? It's really nothing to look forward to, because you already know exactly what you're gonna get because you've been doing that for so long. And that's really how I started doing these videos, because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I knew I needed to do something different in order for me to receive something different. And so I started investing in myself, joining mastermind groups. I started buying the books and actually reading the books and applying the books to my life. And one of the things that I noticed, because I've been doing this, doing videos for 6.5 years, but one of the things that I noticed recently, because I was thinking, I said, well, how did I start changing, right? Because now I find myself wanting to get dressed, okay? Before I would be like, I get dressed sometimes or whatever it is like that, which I talked about me getting dressed and stuff before, how I had to detach myself from, clothes, things, and I had to, in the words of Infinite Waters, I had to lose my mind to come to my senses. So I had to detach myself from the things that I was used to, or the things that I was doing that was not getting me the results that I wanted, right? So that would look like, everything on the outside is perfect, right? But in the inside, I didn't have a certain self-esteem about myself. So the outside didn't necessarily match the inside, so to speak. So a few minutes ago, when I was in a room, I was listening to Bob Proctor, and one of the things he said, he just changed, and what caused him to change was he started paying attention to like his successes. He started paying attention to, things that he was good at, as opposed paying attention to, stuff that people say he wasn't good at, or stuff people say he shouldn't do, or whatever it is like that. And one of the things that you really have to understand is we become what we think about. Okay, what we constantly think about, that's what we become. It's so funny how everything just go hand in hand together. The other day I was listening to Brian Tracy, and one of the things he said successful people, they focus on their wins. Okay, and it brings me, when I heard Bob Proctor say that, I had picked up Psycho Cybernetics, which is a phenomenal read. Honey, if you ain't got this book, okay, I've been raving about this book and Prosperity Bible, okay? If you don't have these books, your library incomplete, okay? One of the things it says in this book, it says your key to a better life, okay? And that's why I named the video this. The most important psychological discovery of this century is the discovery of the self-image. Whether we realize it or not, each of us carries about with us a mental blueprint or picture of ourselves. It may be vague and ill-defined to our conscious gaze. In fact, it may not be consciously recognizable at all, but it is there, complete down to the last detail. This self image is our own conception of the sort of person I am. It has been built up from our own beliefs about ourselves, but most of these beliefs about ourselves have unconsciously been formed from our past experiences, our successes and failures, our humiliations, our triumphs, and the way other people have reacted to us, especially in early childhood. From all these, we mentally construct a self or a picture of a self. Once an idea or belief about ourselves go into this picture, it becomes true as far as we personally are concerned. We do not question its validity, but proceed to act upon it just as if it were true. When I read this, right, and it goes on, it says this self-image becomes a golden key to living a better life because of two important discoveries. All your actions, feelings, behaviors, even your abilities are always consistent with this self-image. Let me tell you this, right? When I would do I believe in divine timing, okay? I believe that everything happens the way it needs to happen. I believe that the seeds that you plant, it is, you in some cases you're not going to reap the harvest in the same season of the planting, right? You got to understand you are a farmer, okay? And you are planting the seeds that are showing up in your life. The harvest that's manifesting is because of your thoughts, okay? And what you constantly give your energy to. So I remember when I was a kid, right? I would watch a person, when I came home from school, be in a bed practically all day, right? And I would find myself in a bed a lot, okay? In a bed a lot. And I like the bed. It's comfortable, I like it. But I sure believe that was part of my paradigm, okay? And so recently I started, asking myself this question like, well, Dina, because it happens so instantly. Now I be doing videos at the table, right? Before, if you go back to several of my older videos, majority of the time I was in the bed, okay? Now I'm doing videos at the table. Now, I'll put some clothes on, as opposed, now it depends, okay? But majority of the time, I'll put something on. That way, I don't know, like it just starts shifting. And another thing, what I sure believe is because of my focus, right? And first thing in the morning that I do is when I feel a certain type of way before I could even get there, right? Before I allow my subconscious mind to, take me in certain directions, I listen to Bob Proctor first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning. And what they have been doing lately for me, like me making my bed up, okay? Now I'll make it back in it later on, but me making my bed up, okay, in the mornings, me walking my children to school, and then picking my children up from school, and this is what really did it because Bob Proctor, okay, I didn't know him personally, but I did do one of his programs. I had invested in myself with one of his programs. And I remember I said, if I could just get one thing from Bob Proctor, like I'd be so satisfied, right, to change my life. And the truth of the matter is, I got so many things from Bob Proctor just from watching his YouTube videos alone. And one of the things Bob Proctor said, he lets you know that before you go and change your paradigm, when you finna change your paradigm, right, you're gonna be afraid, okay, because it's something new, it's something different. But knowing it and understanding that when you do something different, you automatically gonna receive something different. And it's really about having the knowledge, right? Having a knowledge, because if you already know, if somebody already warned you, like, somebody that's successful who, was once where you are, and they telling you, they like, oh, well, this is what happened, this is how I became successful. When I went to change my paradigm, I was faced with, it was a part of me that wanted to stay the same, but I knew if I stayed the same, that I would continuously get the same. So me just being aware of that, right? And being aware of, when I feel certain emotions, when I feel certain things, I have the ability to choose. You get what I'm saying? I have the ability to choose, like, all right, are you gonna choose to continuously do the same, or are you gonna choose to do something different? And that's what really, really helps me. And is the repetition. The key to changing your life is the repetition of the personal development, is the repetition of the books, is the repetition of you doing different things, okay? Because you already know that if you do something different, you're going to get something different. And so that's really what it was, because I was like, oh my goodness, now I'm getting dressed up, okay? Well, putting on a little bit of clothes, okay? And all these different things, and it feels really good, because I tell you guys all the time, you have the ability to change your life. You don't have to stay the same, right? You have the ability to change your life. You have the ability to do something different, therefore to receive something different. And when you know that, it really, I mean, it makes you know that, you could predict your future, right? Like, yeah, if you're doing the same, you already know what to expect. But if you start doing things differently, and if you start listening to the successful people, you start saying, well, if all of them are doing the same exact thing, and one of the things I absolutely love about Tony Robbins, because I remember him saying this, okay? He said, success leaves clues. And majority of the books that I have, mainly all successful people have them, okay? And I said this earlier. I said, I don't know, like, the successful people I tend to listen to and watch, all of them mention Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And, I'm just fascinated, because I'm like, success really do leaves clues, okay? It really, really leaves clues. I was going to tell you guys something else, but I don't forgot what it was. Okay. So this book right here is called Working with the Law, okay? And this is by Raymond Howell, the 11 Forgotten Laws. And Bob Proctor has a video on this. And he mentioned this in one of his videos. And I tell you guys, when I listen to successful people, what I tend to do is, when they recommend something, I go and do it. Like, if they recommend, oh, go get this book, this is the book that, changed my life, or this is the book, that allowed me to make 100 million, or whatever it is, I go get the book. I don't just sit there and be like, oh, that sounds so good. I go and purchase the book, okay? So one of the things, I just opened the book, okay? It was in a specific place, okay? Although this was folded, okay? Law of attraction. To desire is to expect. To expect is to achieve. The underlying law that regulates supply in the world of effects has two important phases. One is desire, and the other expectation. These mental attitudes represent lines of attractive force, the former being the positive phase of the law, and the latter the negative phase, which, while phases must be complied with to obtain the best and greatest results. The first phase of desire embraces a positive process of attraction. That is, when an individual earnestly desires a thing, he sets up a line of force that connects him with the invisible side of the good desired. Should he weaken or change in his desire, that particular line of force is disconnected or misses its goal. But if he remains consistent in his desire or ambition, the good demanded is sooner or later realized in part or in entirety. The principle involved is that you cannot long or yearn for anything unless it already exists. If you're not informed, then in substance, and desire is the motive power for calling it forth into visible appearance or physical effect. So one of the things, desires, right? So I don't think many of us have been programmed to focus on what we want, right? Oftentimes people would tend to say what they don't want. Like I told you guys, I had a friend, right? And this friend, she was going through relationships, and the guy who she was with at this particular time, I remember she was complaining about him. And I asked her, I said, well, what is it that you want? And she told me all the things that she didn't want. So she was like, I don't want a guy that's cheating. I don't want a guy that's a liar. I don't want a guy, just telling me all what she don't want. So when you focus on it, right? One of the things I remember Abraham Hicks said, she said, is not a such thing in this here universe as exclusion, like not included, okay? She said everything is included. So when you say what you don't want, the universe takes that because that's what you're giving energy to, that's what you're giving thoughts to. The universe takes that and give you exactly that. Because if you didn't want that, why do you focus on it, right? So one of the things I told her, I said, you have to write down what you do want, right? And it's so funny because earlier I was listening to Ura Shove, right? Jim Rohn's mentor. And if you are into personal development, you already know who Jim Rohn was, okay? All right. So Jim Rohn had a mentor named Mr. Shove, right? And one of the things that Mr. Shove, he had videos of him on YouTube, but one of the things he say is we are all farmers, right? And whatever it is that we desire, we have to plant seeds, right? For instance, if you like, all right, well, I want apples, and you're not very like detail oriented, you just like, you want apples, you'll receive the apples, but you wasn't detailed enough to say exactly what type of apples. So when certain things come into your life, everything that shows up in your life is a product of you. Is a product of you. Okay? Everything, because you are the creator of your reality. And so whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you desire, you have to be very, very detail oriented. Like earlier, I was listening to Mr. Shove when I was in the shower, right? And after I got out the shower, what I did, I'm still listening to Mr. Shove, right? And so I had put on a video for Range Rover, right? Because honey, I'm finna have that car, okay? I'm finna have it. And so I have it already. I have it. So I put a video on pertaining to, Range Rover, the different features of the Range Rover, what's all in a Range Rover. And it was a video of a guy who was explaining like the 3 types of Range Rovers. And I was like, oh my goodness, first of all, I didn't even know that it was like so many different features, right? But I started writing everything down. And let me tell you something. I wrote 3 pages down. And so whatever it is that you desire, you have to be very, detailed of what it is that you want, because you will manifest something. You'll manifest probably that car, but it may not be exactly your ideal car all the time. I'm gonna give you guys an example. I have a friend, right? And I remember when she lived like across the street from me. Me and her, well, I'm not even gonna say how we met, but she lived across the street from me. And I remember she was saying like what type of car it was that she wanted. And she kept saying like, oh, she wanted a Honda Accord. And she was like, at that time, one second. So at that time, I believe it was it 20, I want to say it was 20, 2000, no, it had to be like 2000 and probably 2012 or something, I want to say. And I remember she kept saying she wanted a Honda Accord, right? And she just kept saying, she was like, that was her ideal car, that was her dream car, right? And I'm quite sure she wanted it around that time. But then later on, right, probably about 2 years ago, she received a Honda Accord. And it was an older version, but she received it. So my whole thing is you want to be very detail oriented, because if you say, well, I want a lot of money, and you don't like exactly put the amount of money, because a lot of money or more money could be you walking down the street and you see a dime. That could be more money, okay? And I remember I was like, I wanted a red Range Rover. And my children, when they came back from their father house, they had a toy car that was a Range Rover. So I said, I know the universe ain't think that I was talking about this, right? But then after that, I had went to Land Rover. I went to Land Rover to see the Range Rover, sat in the Range Rover, was pressing stuff in the Range Rover, okay? But whatever it is that you desire, you have to write it down, because there's something magical about writing stuff down. You have to write it down and you have to believe it. Also, you wanna you wanna be the person that you desire to be, right? Like, from me listening to all the personal development, and I've been listening to personal development before, but what I think it was me being distracted, right? Because I don't watch television now. And I'm proud of myself, okay? But also what I did a 7-day water fast, okay? And I really believe they had a lot to do with my shift, okay? Like the energy, me being very consistent, certain things that the universe have me join, right? Like certain opportunities and stuff like that. So everything is about your self-image. I don't care what nobody say, it's all about your self-image. And the reason why you may not do things is because you don't feel that you're worthy of it subconsciously. And then also you may, we all had programming, right? We all been programmed. And you may not do things because of the paradigm. And you may look at it like, well, I've been doing, and it's so funny, because I remember I used to say, I've been like this, I've been like this. And one of the guys I used to date, he was like, just because you was always like that, that doesn't mean it is right. But I used to say that so faithfully, like, I always was like this, right? And if you always like that, you're gonna keep continuously getting the same exact results, because you always been like that. So, with that being said, I love you guys. Make sure you're rocking out. I highly recommend you guys get Psycho Cybernetics, okay, by Maxwell Maltz. And this book is so good. One of the things it talks about is we have two self images, right? We have two self images. And what's going on in our subconscious mind from the programming, from everything that we have been programmed as a child, that's why we get the results that we get. And it's not until you start putting a different program in. So if you heard your mother or father call you stupid, call you a reject, and you don't do nothing about that programming, that's gonna stay in your subconscious mind. And when you start to do stuff like, do new things or whatever, or challenge yourself, if you don't have anything to walk you through it, you will fold. You won't even take the challenge. And so I'm so grateful and thankful. I'm extremely grateful and thankful because I feel as though the universe knew exactly what I needed in order for me to accept the challenges and in order for me to change my life for the best. And I'm so grateful for that. And so when you guys see me doing certain things, different things, is me getting over the programming. And when I'm sharing the videos and I'm telling you guys, challenge yourself and everything like that, majority of the time I'm speaking to myself, right? And so make sure you rocking out and believing in yourselves. Understand that you are a creator. You have the ability to create whatever life it is that you want to create. You don't have to keep on doing the same thing because you've been doing it for so long that you actually believe that's who you are. That's not who you are. That's a program. And you have the ability to change the program. And with that being said, I catch you guys on the next one. Peace.